Good day everyone, and welcome to the first video of chapter 8, Simplifying and Powers. This chapter really continues there where chapter 6 stopped. We were all about calculating with letters, right? That was the name of chapter 6 also, I thought. And this chapter is going to expand our knowledge on calculating with letters mostly. What will you learn? Well, if we're going to take a look, let's change my setting to laser pointer. They're going to start with continuing simplifying expressions. You get a little bit more knowledge about expressions like this. We're going to take a look at multiplying out the brackets. We're going to start with that. It's going to also be a major component of second grade. We're going to take a look at what powers are, how to calculate with powers. We get a small paragraph which introduces us to scientific notation, which is going to be a major in mathematics but also in physics. And we're going even chemistry, let's not forget chemistry. And we're going to take a look at rules for multiplying and adding with powers. Okay? This video will take a look at the prior knowledge, which were all rules we already introduced at chapter 6. So, for example, how could we simplify products with letters? And they call us a step plan. How should you solve things like this? Minus 3y times 2x. They say multiply the numbers and write down the product first and then write the letters in alphabetical order. Without a dot, right? Remember, mathematicians are lazy. If we don't have to write the dots down, we don't do that. And they say write down the answer without any intermediate step. So here, minus 3y times 2x, you first do minus 3 times 2, then y times x, but you write those down in alphabetical order. So you get minus 6xy. Here, the second one, 50 times minus a half times minus 1, you could say, right? Don't forget that minus in front of the b. That stands for minus 1b. So here we get 25, and they say remember that, right? Minus b is minus 1 times b. And we get a positive number again because we do minus 1 times minus a half times 50. Minus times minus, that's positive again. Numbers in alphabetical order, A, B, C. Remember what happens when you multiply a letter times itself. A times A. We don't write down AA. We say, well, that's the same as a squared. So that becomes minus 27a squared. And here, if you have something like this, you know the rules. First multiply the numbers. Minus 2 times minus 1 times minus 5. And then do x times y. And you will find that's minus 10 x squared y. Remember, we have 3 negative numbers, so I get a negative number in the end as well. X squared y. And that square you write down with the x, right? Because the x is squared, not the 10, not the y, so put it above the x. Okay? Then theory B was about like terms. Remember what like terms are? Like terms means that the terms have exactly the same letters, and only then you can add or subtract them. For example, 3a plus 2a, they both have a's in them, so adding them together gives me 5a. 7a minus 3a, remember, this is something with a, this is something with a, those are like terms, so I find 4a. 3a plus 2b are not like, so you cannot simplify them, right? Sometimes I made that joke in class, if you do 3 apples plus 2 bananas, you don't find 5 apple nanas or 5 pineapples or something. You cannot add those things, so you cannot simplify them. If you have something like this, 6x plus 2y minus 4x minus 3i, remember to change the order, you could say. You can say 6x minus 4x, and you can say 2y minus 3i. So you get 2x minus y. And this you cannot simplify anymore, right? But you already simplified here, so you don't have to write down cannot be simplified at the end anymore, because you did simplify one step. So here you just stop and you say this is my final answer. And here you have other ones that explain the same thing. So here, how would you tackle this one? 5x minus 2 plus x plus 5. Well, we do 5x plus x is 6x, and minus 2 plus 5 is plus 3. Right? You can underline them like this if you want to. You don't have to write down an intermediate step. They do that here to show you what's happening. You can write this down in one go. Please do. Here, if you want to put the red and blue lines underneath to say what are like terms, it would be like this. Oh, I don't do that in this example. I guess I was lazy. 5p minus 5p leaves me with 0, and 7q minus 8q leaves me with just minus q. And we don't write down 0 minus q, right? Then we leave that 0 out of the final answer. Okay, and that was all that I wanted to show up this chapter. Practice this a bit. There were a few exercises in the homework about this. Some of you might remember this very clearly. Some of you might need to practice a bit more. Remember, these are the basics for this chapter, so you have to get them not only quite right, but you have to work on your tempo as well, because otherwise, if you do not work on your tempo, you can get in trouble on the test with time management. Practice this, and then I will see you in the next video, which will be about the new theories 8.1 and onwards. Good luck.